There is arguably no better feeling in fantasy football than when you land an absolute steal in your fantasy football draft. Maximizing value and getting a guy that should have been drafted several rounds ago, that is the best possible way to get the leg up on your competition before that first football is even kicked in week 1. But who are the steals in 2024 fantasy football drafts? I got you, my friend. Today, in episode 34, the Giannis Antetokounmpo episode of Inside the 20, let's talk about players that are being drafted several rounds too late in Sleeper, ESPN, and Yahoo drafts. If you have an upcoming draft on any of those platforms, or even if you don't, I promise you, you do not want to miss this one. So the other day, I'm hanging out in my fantasy football Discord server with 181 other fantasy football players just talking ball, talking strategy, and the one and only Tanner Dawson, who is not just a BBFF subscriber, but he is the editor, he is the producer, he is the wizard behind the scenes of Inside the 20. He's the one making the show look and sound as awesome as it is. I'm just the guy who turns on the camera and starts recording about fantasy football data that I've found over the last couple hours. But in that Discord server, as we're hanging out, Tanner says, I gotta figure out a way to take the Basement Brood Fantasy Football Draft Guide, my rankings, and cross-reference that and compare that to Yahoo's average draft position and ADP. And that got us thinking in the Discord server, got us wondering, if we look at Yahoo, if we look at Sleeper, if we look at ESPN, which players in that pool, in that database, which players tend to be drafted way too low on those websites, thereby making massive draft day steals for people who are drafting on Yahoo, drafting on Sleeper, drafting on ESPN. So that's what I did. I went ahead and answered that question. What I did was I meticulously combed through Sleeper's ADP, the first 250 players in Sleeper's average draft position, identifying players that looked like they're being drafted way, way too low. And then I did the same thing for ESPN. And I did the same thing for Yahoo. And eventually, all of this came together in a worksheet that is now available to my subscribers in the Discord server.